Alright, y'all. This is one of my favorite pens. Today feels like the eye of the storm. It started off eerily calm, but don't worry about that right now. Like, the past 2 days, I woke up with extreme anxiety, and this morning, I woke up with nothing. And part of that could have been knowing that I have to go into work yesterday. So, because there's not a lot of turmoil swirling in me right now, well, as of when I wrote this, I feel like I've got nothing for y'all today, and part of yesterday's stress that I forgot to mention was an audition. And it all happened so quickly that I had to have another lesson in letting go of perfectionism. Because I tried to memorize a monologue in less than 3 hours. I honestly did. Like, tried my damnedest. I'm one of those bad actors who doesn't keep a monologue at the ready. I also had to go in and update my resume, which I thought I had, but maybe I just did on Actors Access and Casting Networks and one of the other ones. I don't know. But the date on my resume read 2018, July of 2018. The last time I updated my rolling copy of my resume, and I guess my actor's curriculum vitae, don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not Latin. Where I keep a list of everything I've done, was July 2018. Shortly after I got my agent, which I told y'all about that story yesterday or sometime. Shortly after, I also got my professional headshots. Side note about those headshots now, they were gorgeous. They were beautiful. I loved them. Great photographer. For me personally, though, it was a weird in between phase. I mean, I was so nervous about the whole session. I asked Rena, my favorite person, and also my hairstylist, to come with me to make sure my hair looked alright. Especially after what we went through, the whole debacle in shooting Feast, and how on first day of shooting we were outside and it had just rained and humid and south, and my hair went poof. Yeah, silk presses don't like the humidity. Anyways, in the moment, and every time we've used those headshots, it's like every time I and my agent, meaning we, not just me and my multiple personalities, it's like I'm trying to play man and present as man when it feels a lot like acting. My headshots made me sad because they don't look how I wanted me to look. They didn't seem who I wanted to be. But I'm really digressing here because that's headshots and we're talking about audition, monologue prep in less than 3 hours. Look, long story short, I took an anxiety nap at work. Yes, I was young and working yesterday, and yes, it was a very short, quick nap, but woke up from that and then released a bit of my perfectionism. I don't know if you are a test taker like I was, but some subjects came easily. And others, even after studying all day and all night and feeling diminishing returns, I would make the executive decision to just stop studying because no matter how much I tried, it wasn't going to stick, and these weren't ideal learning environments, placing that much stress upon myself. At that point, it's just kind of like vaya con Dios. Because I also knew if I continued studying, nothing would stick, and then come test time, I'd get all in my head about how I looked at it, but I couldn't recall and spend so much time trying to remember something that just wouldn't come. I was going ahead and giving future me the peace of mind and knowing you don't know this, and that's okay. And that's what I woke up from my nap doing. I didn't have the words memorized completely, and that's okay. Because I'm Meisner trained. And in Meisner, we learn it's not really about the words. You can have an entire conversation about your pants being blue, but there's a whole nother conversation going on. It's why I love reps. Because it's not about the words, it's about expressing what's behind the words. Scene study, real quick. In prepping for the Duchess, after a group reading we did, my director, Brandon, gave me a note about the final scene between James and the Duchess. And this is why I will never direct my own projects, because you need that outside viewpoint. But his note was that the scene was too sad, and not in that it doesn't need to be sad, but I'm playing the scene without subtext. He reminded me of my reference movie that I told him about, what partly inspired the Duchess, Florence Foster Jenkins, and how Florence is telling her story to Cosmo, and it's tragic. But she doesn't. Meryl Streep does not play it tragic. She keeps her dignity and she smiles through it and nervously laughs. And in that, I was also reminded of one nugget of acting class that stuck with me. When we're crying or full of joy, we try and hide it. It's the two emotions that are hardest for us to express among other people. It's raw emotion, especially crying. Go and look at crying and joy and how those are just those two emotions, at least from the study I read. what we're trying to do is we're trying to protect ourselves. We're feeling most vulnerable because those are expressions of emotions that are just so honest and pure, and we often don't share those with people. So I tried the scene with that direction, and suddenly the scene opened up. There was now the game element needed, and there was now the game element needed when acting a scene, and that game was to not show my emotions, to not let James win, to not open up, and to not break. And I think I won my game, my tennis racket. That's also another thing I always imagine when doing a scene is they should feel like tennis volleys. So yeah, I went into the audition. I knew the intention of the scene and the subtext of the character, and it became not about the words, but instead what the character was trying to hide and what the character was trying to show. And I mean, I felt that scene. Even if I didn't know the words perfectly, I felt that scene in my being, and that's why I chose that monologue. It was a bit long, and I won't tell you the monologue because you'll just have to tune in to a different time. Look, I'm actually tired of all these letting go perfectionism lessons that I'm getting. It's exhausting. I am still exhausted mentally from the past 2 days of having to let go of my idea of perfect and go with the flow. I mean, yes, I am a water sign, but I'm also a Scorpio, and often we're frozen. We're fixed signs, what can I say? So, today feels like the eye of the storm. Eerily calm, and yet there's a full day ahead of me, culminating with another rehearsal tonight for Hush Harbor Lab. So, speaking of Hush Harbor Lab, all of these rehearsals that I'm doing tonight, Monday night, Friday, and Saturday is for performance. We will be performing Sunday evening, and tickets are free, and there are still spots open, so please come join us for this incredible play, Locked by Mia Kirsten Smith. I don't want to give too much away until I have permission to, but dear God, this is an amazing play, and beautiful and cathartic, and all of the feelings as it unfolds. I hope you'll join us. Locked, Sunday at 8 p.m. Alright, y'all. That's all the rambling I can do for today. Hopefully that made a bit of sense. Um, what I will say is that I really enjoyed filming yesterday on my iPhone because it made editing a lot easier. So, I'm going to try more of that, I guess. But with better sound. I did not like the sound yesterday, but that's a digression. That's perfectionist in me. Um, Anyways, as always, keep bearing the lights of being. I love you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day.